Hello and welcome back to Ask 9. I'm Becky Phelps.
I'm meteorologist Corey Thompson here tonight.
Happy Monday. We
Yes.
are starting this week. We ended our last show last week was weather related. And this first show of our week is also weather related because we have a pretty significant anniversary today.
Yes, we're not looking forward this time around, but we're looking back. It's been 20 years since a night of severe weather in eastern Iowa that most notably produced an F2 tornado that moved through Johnson County and more specifically right across Iowa City.
Yes, 20 years. So we have pulled from the archives a couple of pieces that we're going to share with you. We're going to talk a little bit about the damage that the tornado did, the path that it went through, and we're going to show you then a reporter story from today from people who witnessed that and are kind of looking back on the 20 years since. So first, I did not even know that we had this, but we pulled the entire newscast from the original day from the disaster. And we have the entire newscast on our website right now. You can look it up and go watch it. I pulled about 7 minutes worth of clips from the first chunk of that show to show you now, just to get a look back at the night of.
Yeah.
We'll air that for you now.
You're watching KCRG TV9. Now, from your 24-hour news source, this is KCRG TV9 News at 10.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bruce Owney.
And I'm Beth Malicki. We have crews all across the eastern Iowa area getting video of this damage from the tornadoes that we believe have touched down in a number of parts of the area.
But first of all, we do still have one tornado warning that's in effect in our viewing area, so we're going right back to Denny Frary and everybody in the weather lab right now. Denny?
Yeah, Bruce and Beth, thank you very much. Cedar County is the county we're watching very carefully. We'll give you a rundown on all the warnings in effect, and we have a list of them, believe me. But things are getting a little bit better as we speak, at least in terms of getting the storms out of here. But the damage reports are going to be quite incredible, I think. And that's why we urge you to stay tuned not only tonight, but tomorrow for TV9's reportage of that kind of action. Let's go, first of all, to Josh Baines, meteorologist Josh Baines, who has a rundown on what we have remaining in terms of thunderstorm activity with Doppler radar. Josh?
Well, thank you, Denny. There's two areas of concern right now around the Quad Cities, stretching to the west into Muscatine County and the very southern edge of Cedar County. Still, a tornado warning is out for that area, and the potential for tornadoes still does exist as the cell is moving off to the east-southeast, as you see. So if you're in southern Cedar County and Muscatine County, you need to continue to be in your safe place until the storm passes, and that will likely be happening in about the next 10 to 20 minutes. Another area of concern as we fly a little bit north, southern Delaware County right now. We're under the threat for some large hail between Ryan and Hopkinton, and the hail could be larger than an inch. And we've had a history from this cell of reports that large.
At least to our knowledge, nobody was seriously injured, although we did have that report of U of I hospitals admitting 3 people. We're going to throw it back for news coverage in terms of what happened. We're going to find that out, and we'll be finding out much more, I'm sure, in the next 24 hours. But before I go, I've just got to say thank you, a big thank you to Joe Winters and Josh Baines, and they have been of enormous help and assistance here in the TV9 Weather Lab tonight, and could not obviously have done it without them. So I thank those gentlemen, and I can tell you there is that light getting brighter at the end of the tunnel. But right now, Beth and Bruce, we throw it right back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Denny. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you for staying with us. I'm Beth Malicki.
Boy, I'm Bruce Owney. We've had just an unbelievable amount of severe weather across eastern Iowa tonight, and as you've been hearing, one of the hardest hit areas by far has been in the Iowa City Coralville area.
We've been hearing of cars overturned, of power lines down, of students walking the streets. There's not very clear cell phone service. People are having a hard time figuring out exactly what happened. We've heard reports of also a tornado possibly touching down right there on Mormon Trek near the Menards and Walmart area. There's also a car dealership. We do have reporters and photographers on the scene. Let's start now, though, with KCRG.
Well, first of all, we want to tell you we do have video from Iowa City that is on its way. There are power outages down there, and that has affected us in some ways in getting that video up here to Cedar Rapids. So as soon as we can, we'll be showing you a lot of what's been going on in Iowa City. But as you just said, that's not the only place. Van Horn is another area where a storm hit tonight, and we have TV9's Mark Geary, who has been there.
Hi, Bruce and Beth. Yeah, we are on our way back from the Van Horn area, south of Van Horn in Benton County. That's where there was a farm shop there that collapsed, and someone was actually inside when that building collapsed. He is okay. He actually only got out with a few minor bumps and bruises. He called on his cell phone, dialed 911, and was able to get emergency assistance right away, and they cut him out of there and pulled him away, and he's all right. The building is a total loss. They have their combine, their tractor, their wagons all just covered. The building just collapsed on top of them. But the man inside, Brian Gibney, is lucky to be alive, and we will have video and pictures, and you'll actually get to hear from him hopefully later on in this newscast.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. Of course, a lot of rain fell on parts of eastern Iowa in a very short amount of time. I know more than 2 inches in downtown Cedar Rapids. Let's take a look at some flooding video. This is right outside our studio of the rain coming down very hard around 8 and 9 o'clock tonight. The rain was coming down so hard it was causing some flash flooding problems on the slick roads. Thankfully, there weren't as many cars out. I was out at that time, and there weren't as many cars on the road. Some hail was falling, none of it really too big right outside our studios, but there were pea-size hail, and of course, as you can see it, an immense amount of rain.
But boy, we have received calls from all over eastern Iowa about hail that came down, everything from pea size to cheese ball size to golf ball size, even a report of baseball size. One person has called and said they had one that was 3.5 inches across. You can just imagine what hail like that could do to homes and cars and windows. It's unbelievable. So a lot of storm damage all over eastern Iowa.
First images of storm damage from Iowa City are now in-house. Let's take a look at what reporter Steve Nichols and photographer Matt Nelson got us tonight.
Burlington and Clinton, it is a complete mess. Take a look at this street light. This is a signal traffic light that has just been ripped off and is down on the ground on the sidewalk now. There's debris everywhere. I'm going to take a couple steps out into the street here. Hopefully I can hit. You can see on the street light on the corner, there's just metal beams just hanging down from the light down to the ground. And if you look down on the ground, you can just see piles of wood and debris everywhere. It's just a complete mess. Right now, there are people here who are trying to clean up the street, try to clear things out so that traffic can get through a little bit easier. But this is just one corner of downtown Iowa City. It is like this all over downtown Iowa City.
And we are efforting to get even more video back from Iowa City. Hopefully that'll be coming in within just a few minutes, because there is damage all along that Highway 1 into Highway 6 area, into the downtown area. You can see behind Steve there, a lot of people, especially university students, we understand, who are out in the streets wondering what's happened. Probably, you know, the power is out in so many areas as well. So it's a little confusing, a little frustrating, and also people just curious about what's happened.
And we want to update you as far as the weather situation is concerned. The reason why we're now talking news and not weather is the weather situation has certainly calmed down. There are no warnings in any parts of our viewing area. So now we have many teams of reporters and photographers out getting video of damage reports. The phones were ringing off the hook. At one point, all the lines of all the phones were ringing at once. People calling in damage reports and letting us know what was going on, what they could see out of their windows.
Also, a lot of you missed your ABC programming tonight and have been calling to let us know about that as well. We understand that we're trying to work out with ABC a schedule of re-showing the programs that were on tonight, especially Commander-in-Chief. That is in the works right now. It may not happen. We can't promise it, but stick with us for the next day or so, and if they're going to be rescheduled, we'll be letting you know that as well.
You'll be the first to know. Right now, we're going to take a brief break and bring back more damage reports when we come back.
Thank you to Bruce and Beth for that look back 20 years ago.
Yeah, certainly a lot has changed since then. That tornado, of course, took place after dark, just a little bit after sunset in Iowa City, touched down close to about 8:30, and then rolled to the northeast from there. It's on the ground for just about 15 minutes, but that's all it takes. Doesn't have to be on the ground for long.
You guys have been looking back throughout the newscasts. We're going to take a look at kind of the path that it took through Iowa City.
Yeah,
which
so
it covered some serious ground.
It did, for sure. It was on the ground right out near the southwest side of the city. So this is near the intersection junction of Highway 218, which is a 4-lane, and Highway 1, which is another 4-lane, but not a freeway style. At touchdown right there, there's car dealers there, and so at the time it was the Honda dealer. was heavily damaged, moved right up along the highway and then moved into areas near where there was a Menards and a Walmart. Menards is one of the sites that kind of got hit sort of directly. Not, it wasn't huge major damage, but it certainly damaged the roof and their HVAC stuff, threw around some stuff in the parking lot. Cars were damaged, moved up toward Menards. It did cross Highway 6 and move into the area along Riverside Drive. One of the landmarks that was heavily damaged and basically destroyed was the sort of walk-up Dairy Queen that's on Riverside Drive. I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't, but I was listening through that archived newscast, and one of the reporters they had over the phone was standing outside of what used to be the Dairy Queen, and he said the landmark is no more, is gone.
Yep, for Iowa City residents, certainly is one. It's had like an old neon sign, and it's very much
like
old,
a classic.
Yes, old looking Dairy Queen, and had just a cool vibe to it. And they did rebuild, and they took the same design for the sign and stuff like that, but did take some time. So that moved northeast across the river into downtown. Tornadoes can cross rivers. This proves it yet again. And then caused damage along, let's say, generally sort of west of Gilbert Street and near Burlington Street. That's where St. Patrick's Church was, kind of just south of Burlington Street, and then moved northeastward from there. So it affected like the south side of the Penn Mall. Some of the bars there had some damage, and that's where people were out enjoying their Thursday night. It was a Thursday night, of course, in downtown Iowa City, especially back then when the University of Iowa had a bit more of a reputation as a, go out school. Not that it doesn't now, but certainly around that time it was, on those party school rankings. And so students were out. People were luckily able to generally seek shelter. And then another spot that got hit was the Alpha Chi Omega sorority house, which is out here on Dodge Street, Governor Street, sort of between those two split Highway 1 areas. And it did make it farther northeast than that, but then lifted before it reached Interstate 80. So it really did take a long, fairly straight path. And what was kind of interesting was that the storm was actually moving southeastward kind of along a frontal boundary. That's why it's got the ingredients maximized for the ability to make a tornado. But the tornado itself, within the storm, the rotating part of the storm kind of moved northeastward. Oh. So a little contrary to what you might think. And so that's just one of those signs that if you're in a storm where a tornado is possible, even if it looks like you may be kind of away from the more traditional side of the storm, weird things can happen sometimes in the weather, and that was one of them where it did happen there too. Now, it was one of 10 tornadoes that night in eastern Iowa, a few more in Illinois too with this system. 6 of them took place in Johnson County alone, or at least partially.
Intense.
Right, at least partially. And one of the more interesting fun facts for me from that night, and again, fun only because the people inside were safe, but there was a home east of Iowa City, sort of off Highway 6, where there were 2 storms that moved through Johnson County that had tornado warnings that night. One that produced the tornado that moved through the city, and then a second one within about half an hour later that followed the first one. Now, it didn't produce as strong of a tornado, but it did produce a second tornado that hit this one house for the second time that night.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the odds of that are just so astronomically, low that it's just a fascinating story. But the National Weather Service said that that's what happened. It was a short path for the second one, but same house got hit twice.
Oh my, they say like lightning never strikes twice.
Right.
Clearly it does.
Yeah.
Clearly it can.
Your odds of a tornado baseline in your life ever affecting you are extremely low. Twice in one night has got to be infinitesimally small.
That is insane.
Yeah.
We have TV9's Connor Woodruff reporting on how people are looking back on the anniversary of that tornado. We're going to show you his story now.
I still can't believe it's been 20 years.
Cheryl Schropp has been going to St. Patrick Catholic Church since 1986. 20 years ago, an EF2 tornado was on the ground for 5 miles through Iowa City and hit St. Patrick's, destroying the church.
The entire roof had collapsed.
It was just after a service when the storm hit, and she stayed back with others waiting for the rain to calm down.
It had stormed during the whole Mass. We could see the lightning through the windows.
That was the plan until sirens went off. The deacon sent her and the parishioners to the basement, a decision that may have saved their lives before the ceiling came down.
If Deacon Jerry would not have come in and told us to leave, I would not be speaking with you today. So by the grace of God, I am here.
A new church was built across town a few years later, with a chapel made entirely with the bricks and pews from the old building.
It's a blessing that we're able to reuse them and still have a beautiful place of worship.
But it's a memory shared by many, like Hal Guerin, whose daughter found herself in a similar situation.
She had called us when she heard the sirens, and we had told her to go to the basement.
He was in Burlington and listened as a tornado hit her home.
We could hear the rumbling in the background as the tornado was coming closer.
Thankfully, she wasn't hurt, but the home and the entire neighborhood were. Guerin took more than 100 pictures of the damage the next morning.
That picture, you can see that the cars are turned over. Frightening. You don't think of there being that much power, you know, in that until you experience like that.
20 years later, these stories are immortalized by the people who lived them, in pictures and in brick. In Iowa City, Connor Woodruff, KCRG TV9 News.
Thank you, Connor. We would be remiss if we did not mention that
Before we move on to today, I just want to share, I'm from Iowa City.
Yeah.
Right? So family was safe. Some friends were directly affected. Friend was had her apartment roof come off, and so it was a very traumatic incident for her. But luckily, again, most people were safe. Injuries were fairly limited. There was, I believe, a fatality in Muscatine that night. But for the most part, people were able to get the warning and heed it, which was great. But if you go to Iowa City now, you can barely tell.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing about any severe weather situation in Cedar Rapids. We still deal locally with the effects of the derecho in 2020. It's been 6 years, or almost 6 years.
Yes.
And you can still very much see the scars. If you know where to look in Iowa City, you could probably still figure it out. There's still a stretch of parts of downtown where the sky is just a little bit more open. Trees have, in 20 years started to grow big. But initially, that was sort of the big, starkest thing, was that you're like, wow, you can see there's less shade here. You can see the sky once the damage was actually cleaned up. So things have gotten better, that's for sure. 20 years is a long time, but still very fresh for the people that were there.
Did you watch the coverage live?
No, I was in college, so I was out of town. This was before streaming was really, in a lot of places, readily available on the internet of severe weather coverage.
Right. Not quite as easy.
Yeah, you get it lucky once in a while, but I don't think KCRG quite was there technology-wise very soon after that. But I was watching it from afar on radar and all the National Weather Service information, and keeping my family informed. Told them to, my dad will remember this one, I told him to move. So the car that I drove was not, I didn't have it at college, but it was here. It was parked on the street. I said, you should move it inside. And so he drove a car that was a little bit older, and so the other car was a little bit newer. So you're playing the numbers here in terms of safety.
All right.
And so he moved it inside, but the car that he was driving, he left in the driveway, which isn't where the car was initially parked, the one that I asked him to move. So I'd say it's still not my fault. But that car had a very large hailstone go through the back window.
Oh.
And I didn't shatter it completely, but it went through, so that window was ruined. But that was the case too. There was a lot of large hail in that storm outside of the tornado areas. A lot of people got hail that night.
Yeah.
And so it was just one of those things where luck would have it, or misfortune.
Bruce was describing the size of the hailstones, and one of the descriptors he used was cheese puff size.
Okay, that's
which
a good.
Is a new one, but I liked
Yeah.
it. I think we should bring that back.
Yeah, it's something that people know, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to relate it.
Well, at least your car was okay.
Exactly.
that really worked out well.
And once I got back
you.
from school about a month, a few weeks later, after the semester was over, I was in good shape.
Was your dad happy with the results, or was he a little bit like?
I think he was joking.
Okay.
I hope he was joking about it mostly, but yeah, he would say, "Well, if I hadn't moved it, my car would have been fine." And I was like, "Well, where'd you park it?" He didn't move it into the exact same spot, so you can't say for sure what would have happened, a few feet away. So I'm taking that to the bank.
I believe you.
Thank you.
I believe you. I mean, you are a professional, after all.
In training at the time, just a sophomore in college. So
you were warning people. You were on top of it.
I was trying to keep an eye on it.
You were ready.
Trying to.
We depend on that. We really do.
Well, this week we may need to.
Yes.
Yes, more storms to come. So that's what you said
we've
we'd be remiss.
We've got days across the 9-day lit up red. It was 4, but now it's 3.
Yes.
Today was going to be a day, but we
Looks like a lot of it's going to stay north, but still, if you live north of Highway 20, keep an eye on it later this evening and night. Get your weather radio plugged in. Otherwise, everyone else, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Those are the severe weather risk days, first alert days, each of them, for the chance for strong to severe storms. It does look like at this point of those 3 days, that Tuesday, tomorrow is going to have the highest chance for severe weather. That's where the Storm Prediction Center has this sort of orange color, this enhanced risk across more of the area.
Yeah.
And so that just means that the chance is a little bit higher. Now, it does depend a lot on what's going to happen tonight. We're in one of those situations where things are sort of tightly packed together in time. And so the previous night can affect the future night. So if storms end up a little bit farther south tonight than we expect, that would maybe shift the focus for tomorrow's chance a little bit, or could affect it. If they last later into the morning, that could affect the amount of heating that we see and could sort of modulate the chance too. So even though we do feel pretty confident about those days we've highlighted as first alert days, devil is always in the details, and we just want you to stick with us for more updates. You'll see him in so many places where you're watching us now, in addition to on TV, on the web, on the app.
Absolutely. Corey, thank you so much for joining us here on tonight's Ask 9.
Happy to be here.
And thank you all for joining us as well. We hope you have a wonderful evening.